What is up, YouTube family? It's your boy Remy back with another video. I know it's been some time. I missed you guys. You know, it was quite funny when I first started doing YouTube. Did my first video. I was really anxious and really nervous, but after doing a couple of videos, I kind of got used to it, and now haven't done a video in like a week or so, I want to say, and I couldn't wait to get back and do another video. It's just really interesting how things progress and things turn out. But here I am today back. Missed you guys, and I want to say thank you to the new subscribers. Numbers really went up since the last time I checked, and I just want to say I'm really appreciative of the people who's been supporting, people who's been showing love, people who's been sharing, and just been motivating me to continue to press and move forward. So if you guys have been following my journey, you know my last video was the intermission where I stated that things are going to go for a short break for some time. So if you watch the video, you know what I was talking about and what that consists of, and basically what's happening right now. So and in that last video I said that even though that project is going to be put on hold, I'm going to be giving you guys updates here and there, and I'm also going to try to do a Q&A session if I get some questions and I get the time to basically compile some of the questions that I've been asked, and that's what I did. So today's session is a Q&A. I pretty much, the way that I organized this is I pretty much just wrote down some of the questions that I've gotten from people while talking to them in person, talking to them over the phone, and hearing the feedback that they've been given to me. So I just, after talking to them, I just wrote it down and just compiled a few questions, not a lot, just a few questions, because you know I don't like doing too long of a video, because I know people kind of get antsy when things go on too long. So it's not that much. I think it's about, I want to say 15 questions. It might be more because I sort of compile them together. So some of the questions are like a 3-part question. So that's pretty much what this video consists of. And also a few updates of everything that's been going on, or just a few things that's been going on. So without further ado, let's get into it. So question number 1, and all these questions are anonymous, of course. So question number 1, how old are you? So I know I look older than what I appear to be because of the beard and everything like that. So, but I'm only 24. So I think I mentioned that in previous videos, but maybe that was missed or overlooked. So yes, question number 1, I am 24. So question number 2, 3-part question. Where do you live? Where were you born? And where did you grow up? So I currently live in Brooklyn, New York. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and I grew up here in Brooklyn, New York. I spent some time in East Flatbush. I want to say first couple years of my life. So I want to say from about being a baby to about 10, 11, and then I moved. Then I kind of moved a couple times here and there, but for the most part, I've just always been in, you know, Brooklyn, New York. I was in Flatbush, then, you know, East New York, things of that nature. But I've always remained in Brooklyn, New York. Do you have any siblings? Yes, I have 3 siblings. Mom had 4 boys. Yeah, she's a trooper. Did you grow up with both parents? No, I grew up with just my mom and my 3 brothers. So it's just all 4 of us and her. So yeah, a bit of a mama's boy. Nothing against Dad, but he wasn't around. I guess he was a Rolling Stone, you know. Where did you go to high school and where did you go to college? So I went to James Madison High School. Yeah, I can't remember when. That's crazy. It escapes me. I want to say I graduated what, 2013. Yeah, I graduated 2013, James Madison High School. Yeah, it was, high school kind of came and went by. It wasn't really, I don't know, it was what it was. You know, high school came and went by. It was a pretty interesting time, but, you know, that's where I went. Population was interesting going there. It was like, from what I remember, it wasn't that high of a black population. It was very, very mixed, but it wasn't that high of a black population. Yeah. That's about it. Where did I go to college? I went to Medgar Evers College. And what did I major in? So after I went to Medgar Evers College, I initially majored in English. And I tell people this all the time: when you go to college, please, please, please make sure you know what you want to major in and what you want to do, and make sure you talk to the right people, because the last thing you want to do is waste time. So I kind of wasted a little bit of time. I made mistakes with a few of my classes, but thankfully I didn't go too left, so that's a good thing. So when I first got there, I majored in English because I knew that I always wanted to teach. So I majored in English thinking that I would be an English teacher that way, not realizing that I had to major in education with, I guess, a concentration in English. If I'm not mistaken, that's how it was. Yeah, so I majored in English for a little bit, and then when I spoke to a few of my guidance counselors, that's when they asked me what I wanted to do and things of that nature. And that's when I made the switch to education. So I started majoring in education with a concentration in English, which I didn't want to do. I kind of tried to get the easy way out. So I majored in something that I knew I was really, really good at. And I've always been good at English, always been good at writing and things of that nature. So I majored in English. What I really did want to major in is, I really wanted to have a concentration in science. So I wanted to major in education and have a concentration in science because I wanted to teach, or more so teach science. So I think that's the route that I should have went, but it was what it was. And now that, transitioning into what I'm doing now, which is training, I'm trying to go back to school for my master's in nutrition, and having a concentration in science would have been so beneficial right now. So the fact that I concentrated in English is kind of making things a little bit more difficult. Trying to go back to school, but it is what it is. Anything worth it, you got to fight for it, right? So it is what it is. So I majored in education and college. Why I majored in education? I love kids. I knew that I always loved kids, and I love teaching. Even though I naturally could be an introvert, I don't mind being an extrovert. I don't mind talking to people and, relaying information and things of that nature. And I know that the generation that comes after, we have to basically instill within them, important information, important knowledge. And I feel like a lot of times the next generation doesn't go further because the generation before doesn't bridge that gap. We don't talk to them, and we don't, school them and instill things within them. So, and that's another reason why I created the project, Road to Recovery, because I really wanted to just, inform the generation that's coming behind us. Talk to them and give them information, give them knowledge, so that they could pick up the mantle and they could go further and do more than what we did. So I figured that I could do that in the realm of education. So that's why I went there, and that's why I went down that road and majored in education. What do you do now? What did you do before, and why did you stop? So in my previous videos, I mentioned that right now I'm currently a personal trainer at a gym. What I did before, well, obviously since I majored in education, I was teaching for a while. I want to say I was teaching for a few years. I was teaching for, I want to say 3 years, because I was really lucky in a sense where before I officially started teaching, I was already in a school. So I was really blessed and lucky enough to already be in a school and be like an assistant and things of that nature. So then when I finished my degree and everything like that, the school that I was at, it was really helpful, and they was really supportive of what I was doing. So they just, sort of pushed me up and, worked with me step by step. So after, you know, graduating, I was teaching for a while. Then, but I was like it was always like co-teaching in a sense. So I never really had my own classroom, even though I really wanted to. But the way that things were set up, it was very difficult for me to. But then the last year is crazy. Like the last year, and this transition into why I left, which is the next part of the question. So the last year I was teaching 5th grade, and when I was teaching, I was like, they always like, in the school that I was in, they always encouraged me to like, they always wanted me to just go out and meet people and, you know, superintendents of my district, and I was always a part of these, you know, programs and things of that nature. So I don't know, people just, I guess they just liked me or whatever the case was. So I remember it was around last year I taught, it was 2019. This was like at the end of, yes, at the end of the end of the school year for 2019. So I want to say this was like June 2019. So mind you, the school year always ends like around June 26th or whatever the case was. So I remember sending like applications out and things of that nature. And when you're trying to be a teacher and get your own classroom, you have to basically, you know, go through this whole process where you send emails to the principals and your cover letter and things of that nature, explain to them what you want to teach, why you want to teach, and things of that nature. And if there's a vacancy opened up, you know, they'll email you. So I thought, you know, I was never going to hear back from anybody. I did this like for like, I emailed like a whole bunch of principals, and I was just like, I don't think I'm gonna get anything back or whatever the case was. So I want to say around June 21st, like June 20th, June 21st, if I'm not mistaken, I got an email back from a principal to teach middle school, English middle school. She wanted me to teach, if I'm not mistaken, social studies. So I went in, I nailed it. Like I nailed, when you go in, you gotta do a mock lesson, and basically you get observed. You get observed, they take notes, and they watch how you interact with students, they watch how you teach, and if you do well, then they give you the position. If you don't, then, well, you know how that goes. So, so you know, don't call us, we'll call you. So I went in, I blew them away. They was amazed. You know, they wanted to hire me like on the spot, and I even got the offer letter and everything like that. I got the offer letter letting me know, like, you know, to sign off on it and send it back and everything and things of that nature. And, you know, before that, for that year, it was just like, I was just going through a lot spiritually. Like, also health-wise, but the majority of why I decided not to pursue that was more so spiritually. So there was a lot that was going on with me spiritually, and I feel like I was being tested in a sense, even up until the point where getting this offer. You know, I'm not gonna go too much in depth on that, because like I kind of touched base on in previous videos. You know, when I start to talk about stuff like this and, you know, spiritual sense and biblical aspect, people tend to get like freaked out or weirded out, like, oh my gosh, like here we go, this, you know, biblical nonsense of spirituality trying to impose his will on me or whatever the case was. So I try not to, you know, linger in that element too much. I just, you know, give like a brief synopsis or whatever, and I keep it pushing, because the last thing I want to do is deter anybody from an important message that, you know, I feel like I could give to them. And people tend to do that often, you know, like, and I always tell people, if like, you should be able, if you stand confident and firm on what you believe in, you should be able to interface with anybody. You know, if you can't do that, then that should obviously tell you something about yourself. You know, you should sort of reevaluate things. And I'm not saying this to boast about who I am or whatever the case is, but I could talk to anybody from any particular religion, any particular faith, or any particular walk in life, because I'm confident in what I stand in, on what I stand on and what I believe in. So it doesn't faze me. And I also tell people, you know, when someone is talking to you, you're talking to somebody, you know, you take the meat and you spit out the bones. You know, basically saying like, you take what's important for you, what you could use to better yourself, and if something doesn't apply to you, then you just throw it out. It is what it is. But some people just have this sort of persona where once you say one thing that they don't want to hear, they just tune you out. And I'm like, you shouldn't live like that or be that way, because you could potentially be missing out on gems that somebody could be giving to you, but it was that is what it is. So like I was going through a lot, like spiritually, and at the end of that, like the school year had ended, and when August rolled around, I went on a few vacations. I went to Miami, I went to Mexico, and I did a lot of traveling, and it gave me clarity. It gave me time to clear my mind. When you live in New York and you live in Brooklyn, everything is just fast paced. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't really have time to like sit still and really think and really meditate. It's just like you gotta keep up with the beat or you get left behind. So I couldn't really see things clear being in it. So when I got the chance to go away, and I was away, I got a lot of clarity, and then that's when I made the decision that, okay, I wasn't gonna go back to teaching, because I just felt like it was really, teaching was really compromising, my spiritual faith and my spiritual walk with the Most High, and I had to really make a decision, and I feel like he was testing me a decision. He's like, okay, you finally reached the goal that you wanted to reach. Now what are you gonna do? Are you gonna go? Are you gonna pursue this, take this, even though it's gonna make you compromise against me, or are you gonna wait it out or take a different path? And trust me and have faith in me. So I said, what, I'm gonna have faith and I'm gonna go a different route, even though at the time I didn't know, what I wanted to do. I didn't really have a backup plan. I just knew that I wasn't supposed to go back to teaching. It was a really, really, difficult, interesting time in my life. But, I made that decision to, put spirituality above, the carnal flesh. Now scripture says, seek ye the kingdom first and righteousness, and everything else will be added onto you. But myself included, I'm not exempted from this, before. And sometimes, what I used to do and what people do is we have it flipped around. We do the opposite. You know what I'm saying? We seek the world first, and then we try to see where our spiritual walk with the Most High can, be included in that. And that's backwards. That's not the way you're supposed to do it. The text clearly says it. So that was that question. Forgive me for going on a rant or whatever. Am I single? If yes, why? Yes, I am. This walk that my spiritual faith doesn't permit dating, even though it's difficult because temptation is real out here. It doesn't permit me to do so, even though I have done in the past. I wasn't supposed to, but when you don't know better, you do bad. But as you begin to learn better, you got to do better. So spiritual faith doesn't allow me doing that, so I try to abstain from things in that realm as much as possible. Why? It keeps me focused, keeps me grounded, keeps me focused on the task at hand, and just like I said before, just seeking the kingdom first, what I feel my mission is, what I feel the mission that has been assigned to me is, and just more so focusing on that, and just having faith that everything else will be added on to me in the end time, if it be His will, of course. If you weren't doing the job you are doing now, what would you be doing? What would I be doing? If I was in personal training, that's a good question. While I was in undergrad at Medgar Evers College, I actually took a semester off. Honestly, I took a year? I can't remember if it was a semester or 2 semesters off, which is a year, but I know I took some time off to actually go to film school. So I was at the New York Film Academy, I want to say for about a year, I think. So I have always been a very huge movie buff. Not anymore because time just doesn't seem to allow it. But I've always been big on films, big on movies. And when I was in the film academy, I actually, wrote a few screenplays and scripts of that nature. I actually had the opportunity to go to, LA to work on productions and things of that nature, but I turned that down. I didn't feel like I was ready to make such a huge jump, so I turned that down, and I kind of let the stories get to me. How people go to LA and they lose themselves, they sell their souls and things of that nature. So I guess me feeling like I wasn't ready and hearing things of that kind of like it shook me up a little bit. But while I was in film school, I learned a lot. I worked with producers from LA. We actually put together a documentary. I helped them put together a documentary, and it was just great because for the first time in my life, I actually was really like doing like what I really, really, really like wanted to do. I always put my writing and my artistic nature on the back burner because oftentimes like things that have to do with arts and writing and stuff like that, you got to be really, really, really good to make a living. That is not, it's not really safe. It's not secure. You know what I'm saying? And living in this day and age and, growing up the way I grew up, parents never really, and I'm not saying like my mom really like bashed that because she actually supported it, but she always wanted me to have something like more secure, like more grounded. So she always like instilled and drilled in me like school first, school first, school first. Make sure you finish your school first because that's like your foundation, that's solid, or the case was. And I understand why she said that and where she came from. So she always kind of made me feel like school was like more important than my artistic craft, my artistic nature. So after I did a year there and I kind of got that out of my system, I went back to school and I finished off. I finished my bachelor's degree. So if I wasn't personal training, I'd probably be doing something in the art world. I don't know, maybe like film or theater, something of that nature. Maybe. Why do you wear a turban? I guess the first acupuncture video that I did, I'm also wearing a turban. So there's little, for anybody that knows me, knows that I do a plethora of things that serve basically as an ethnic marker. So what an ethnic marker is, or what it means, is just a reminder that lets me know I'm in this world, but not to be of it. If you understand what I'm saying. So while I'm here, yes, I'm living here, but I have to remember that I need to be set apart and I need to be distinct, and I have a specific walk that I need to always remember and be mindful of. So I do little things like wear a turban and other things that I'm not going to go into depth on, that just basically serve as a reminder of, even though you're here, you're in this world, don't be of it, don't conform to it. So yeah. And last question, what are your religious views and practices? So not gonna go too in depth on that again. So basically I don't have a religion. Religion is man-made, basically. So what I have is basically just a walk of life, just basically keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments, to the best of my ability. I try not to put a label on it because oftentimes what people do is once I label myself as something, people like to generalize. So you know what I'm saying? That's why I try to refrain from using labels, because I will say, okay, I'm this, and then somebody will see somebody else acting a fool, acting like they're not supposed to, and share the same label as me, and then categorize me as that also, which has happened so much times in the past. And I'm like, okay, that's that person. Ask me about me. You know what I mean? Like, don't just see these other people that share the same title, and because they're acting out or not acting the way they're supposed to, then you automatically be like, okay, Remy also calls himself that, so this is exactly what he does and who he is. And I'm just like, no, that's not true. Like, that's them. I'm me. If you want to know me, then you come and you have a conversation with me and we chop it up and we dialogue. So I've had that happen many times in the past where people have said, oh, well, these groups of people, these sect of people consider themselves the same as you. And I've even had people who didn't even like me because I used to go by a specific label, and then they had bad encounters with the same people who went by the same label, and without even getting to know me, they just had a problem with me. And I'm just like, yo, what's up? Like if you like if you have a strife with me, like some sort of contention, like come talk to me, let's talk it out. Like I don't have a problem communicating. Like let's talk. Like you state your grievances, I state my grievances, and we find common denominator and we move forward together, you know, on neutral ground. So I've had people in the past who've had issues with me, and then when, you know, they gotten to know me and we talked and we chopped it up, they're like, yo, you nothing like such and such or this group of people. And I'm like, I know. I'm like, that's why you shouldn't generalize, and that's why you should get to know people. That's also why I don't go by any labels. I'm like, you know, if you want to know about me, then you ask me about me, and, you know, things of that nature. So that is it for the most part. Hopefully, you know, that gives you guys enough information about me. I did want to, in the last video I said I haven't really had time to connect with you guys much because I was more focusing on just the passion project that I'm working on, the road to recovery, so, and just giving you guys information about that. So hopefully this, you know, gives you guys a little bit more information about me and we feel a little bit more like family. So 2 updates. As you can see, it's like the background is different. We're doing a lot of remodeling and painting and that nature. So bittersweet. So bitter, I mentioned that I was preparing to take my CPT exam. So I took the exam, didn't go too well. But you know what I'm saying? If at first you don't succeed, try again, right? So we're gonna try it again. I don't know when I want to try it again. This is definitely not like teaching. For those of you who have been in the teaching realm, like you could take, as long as you pay for it, you could take exams as much as you want. Like, you know what I'm saying? They don't ban you or block you, at least from what I remember. But doing this certified personal trainer exam, there's a limit on it. So if I'm not mistaken, I think you could take it twice, and then the third time they actually give you a year probation before you could take it again. So the thing about me is, like, nothing has ever come easy for me, but I don't like give up. But that's kind of like discouraging because it's like, who wants to wait a year before they can take an exam again? But I don't know, it is what it is. I guess that's the way it is set up. So what I really wanted to do was just, you know, since everything is really fresh in my mind, I don't want to wait too long and to mess up. I really wanted to take it again next week. But at the same time, I don't want to rush and then make another mistake on it. And now they're like, okay, yeah, you got to wait a year now. So I don't know what I want to do with that. I haven't really figured it out. But, you know, when I do, I guess I'll just update you guys, let you guys know where I am on that. Second thing, shout out to the boy Gio. He's been doing a lot of promotion. I got to salute him for that, in terms of, you know, putting the word out for my channel and also putting the word out for his channel. So Gio actually beat me to the punch on this one. What I really wanted to do is open up a second channel after I finished the project on this, and basically that channel was basically what I was going to use to go in depth about more personal things about my life. Because like I mentioned before, sometimes when you say certain things, you can have an important message, but sometimes you say something and then people just block you out. Like they just don't want to hear it. So I didn't want to sort of blend everything into this one channel, because I know people that follow me, people that hear me, they just want to strictly and specifically know about this journey and the information that I'm putting out, you know, health-wise, fitness-wise, nutrition-wise. So I just wanted to really center this channel around that. But I know there's other people who, you know, they do like the spiritual aspect. You know what I'm saying? They like when I talk about certain things like that, and, you know, biblical components and stuff like that. So I didn't want to just put everything on this channel and then, you know, basically turn off the people who don't really care about the spirituality stuff, or turn off the people who just care about the fitness thing. So I was gonna open up a channel where I go more in depth on that aspect later on after I finish this. But Gio kind of went forward and opened up his channel where he's going to be talking about a lot of different aspects, from what I remember. So he's going to be talking about a lot of, from what I can see, he's going to be talking about a lot of different topics, and sometimes it's going to be centered around spirituality. So if you guys are interested in that, and you guys are interested in my stance and my mentality when it comes to certain things, since I don't go too much in depth on this, then I guess you guys could tune into that channel. I'm gonna leave the link in the description below, so you could click on it, if you want to hear me, or if you just want to go and show some support, because Gio's he's talking about a lot of stuff. And I really commend him for talking about that stuff right now, because I feel like this is a pivotal time in history to really be talking about certain subjects that he's talking about. And I feel like now is the time to be talking about it, because we're not distracted by so much things that we were distracted by 6, 7, 8 months ago. A lot of us can't really leave the house. A lot of us are still confined to the house. Even though a lot of us aren't, some of us are, and it forces us to talk about these things. It forces us to tackle these things head on, and things of that nature. So if you're interested, you want to hear about certain topics that's going on, then click on the link below, tune in, and hopefully you get something positive out of what's being discussed. And with that being said, that is it. So peace, and hope to see you soon, family.